Hey guys, it is Lucid, and welcome back to the series with Alm. Um, I have some good and some bad news for you. The news is that the series is going to be winding down, and there's not a lot of good stuff left to see. And I'll show you the highlights as it ends. I'm going to tell you here right up front at the beginning as a spoiler how the rest of the game plays out. And the way the rest of the game plays out is I come over here. As we were talking about, so Vanheim's basically done. They've ridden off to fight into Marignon, and they cause some damage, but Marignon conquers them pretty handily. We basically consolidate our holdings here. We get Dominion spread. We come over here. Bandarlog is like menacing with a ton of stuff on our border. But what we do is this province right here, this cave province, is the closest province on this planet to my capital, or not to my capital, to my blood discount site, the Shattered Throne. And so what I start doing, and I'll show you, we'll zap forward. I'm giving you like the super high level picture, and then we'll look forward and watch it play out. I start filling this up with, oh God, what is the spell called? Curse of Vampirism. Right, and so we're getting a ton of vampires. We're getting some of the little, not quite full vampire count dudes, and a bunch of chaff. And we're filling this up here, and the plan is to go basically see how much of this we can get. Because I think my situation, my assessment, is that we could conquer Rotterdam. They've been super friendly. I kind of don't want to. But they're also getting to the point, like, they're going to get Dom killed soon, too. Just, they're too small. They don't have enough stuff to survive this late in the game. We're at turn 70 now. And they're about to have war declared on them. And at that point, I will jump in and vulture them. But I don't know. I just am, like, sentimental and don't want to attack them because we've been super friendly all game. And, like, Oceania's broken back out of their cap. There's some funny stuff. I think it was Rosia playing Oceania, and God, it's so funny. He's been like a one-cap nation for like 40 turns. He's still like logging in, playing, doing. I mean, there's not much to do. He just logs in, hits in turn, but a lot of times. But yeah, he's breaking out of his cap now. Anyway, my assessment is we could eat these guys, but we're friendly, and I don't really want to do that. And anyway, and you have the luxury to not attack neighbors you like in a really big game. And then this is being played by Olio, who's been doing really interesting scripting and really good stuff. And he's pretty big. He's like got all of this stuff. He has the water systems down here. He comes up, I think, right around here. I don't know who owns all of Saudi Arabia. In short order, he's going to attack Bandarlog, and they're going to have a fight that's going to last about the rest of the game. And Olio wins this fight. This is Kailasa being played by Kirby, and he was doing also really cool stuff, and he put up like a hell of a fight against these guys. But the situation for, oh God, I don't know how to say the nation, Alcara or whatever they are, they don't really have an easy way off the world. Bandarlog does through some of these things, and I offered to give any of them stars if they wanted it, and they wanted to like magic phaser gateway troops until they could set up something on another world. But I think they were just like, okay, we're gonna have to fight. And they were both very friendly and allies with me all game. And I could have maybe picked sides, but I think I was happy to just let them fight. I mean, first of all, they're both like they're very skilled players, and fighting them I thought would be expensive. And so I figured I would just let them fight and maybe vulture one at the very end, whoever, help put them out of their misery once they had lost. But yeah, I don't know. Optimal play might have been trying to get more of the stuff over here, but I don't know. Some of it is just relationship stuff. Like I like both these players. I really didn't want to fight them, and they're both good at the game. So it was going to be painful and difficult. And instead, what I wanted to do was to basically come over here where there's a bunch of... This is the easiest planet. It's heavily balkanized. What I mean by that is there's a bunch of small nations that aren't very coordinated, and nor are they terribly powerful. And so doing that, you can just come over and pick off one at a time, and so that was basically the plan here. And then also doing it would deny that it would ever go to yes. Somebody needs to do it. And that was kind of the plan the big powers had agreed to when we agreed that we were going to prevent Yis from taking over this whole planet, which is what it looked like was going to happen. So that's basically the plan. We're going to do it. Was going to do it. And, maybe like would get this continent and I would get this one or something. We hadn't worked out the details, but that was kind of what we were thinking. And I was like, okay, that sounds cool. Let's do that. And so we're going to start summoning a ton of vampires over here with this, because the Curse of Vampirisms are remote. And so anyway, and then you'll see as we go forward. And then we're probably going to attack Marverni because they're basically super weak. They just, they have a literal 0% chance of winning. And they've been fighting like crazy to stay in the game. So I feel bad, but it's just like, okay, we need to get bigger. And this is by far and away the easiest place to do it. Because it's really a race against Yis and to a degree, and Marignon to a degree. And if one of these guys is super decisive in the war very quickly, they could become a major player too. But I think kind of the issue here is they're both pretty good, so the war is pretty grindy. And there's some powers here on Gelinor too. Utgard's pretty strong. I think Pythium is significant. Late Age Pythium, they have some significant stuff. And I think those are kind of... And Atlantis is pretty big, but Atlantis... I've been really shocked with. I was really expecting Atlantis was like one of the big players in the game. And they kind of haven't been doing too much. Once they conquered the dragons, I don't think they did that much. I think there's also some things that happened that I'm not fully aware of. Like, I think they were involved in maybe killing... I think this is Middle Marignon here. Late Age Marignon's over here. I think Middle Age Marignon's here. And I think they were involved in maybe helping to kill Marignon. So there's all sorts of diplomacy on this planet. But this planet is much less balkanized than Asaloon. This planet is much more bigger powers working in like kind of complex coalitions or shifting alliances to try to gain strength. And so that's what's happening over here. And I'll just zap forward a few turns. This is turn 70. I don't have all the turns, and I'm not going to show you all. But the turns I'm going to show you is a mix of what I have versus what I want to show you. So I think we'll jump forward like to 76. And you'll see a lot has changed in only 6 turns. So first of all, we've gotten our Dominion all in here, where Vanheim stuff once was. And we've taken... basically all of the underwater stuff over here. We were taking a lot of this underwater stuff with these disease demon thugs. They actually have good siege strength. It's like 11 per disease demons. And so like thug armies can siege these down in a few turns. And they were accompanied by disease demons proper, not the actual commander. So we're doing that. We still have, I think, 1 fort here to take. But we've taken most of this. I think this war might have started... Do we have Eyes of God up? It looks like we do. Yeah, we have Eyes of God cast too. So I can actually show you guys score graphs and stuff. I think we're still friendly with everybody over here. We've got a few interesting globals up. We have Looming Hell up, which I'd never put up before. It's actually not as bad as people say it is. And what was kind of funny is... This actually is really funny. Look at this province. This is a Rotterdam province, and he was in this desperate war, so we could never like patrol out these bad events or a bunch of heretics and wolves. And since I put Looming Hell up, it killed all the commanders for, and you can see it's a lot. It's like 3 different parties for which it's killed the commanders. And so now they're all just hanging out on the fort. And he's kind of his position's a little hopeless. He has some cool stuff like this Archangel, but he just doesn't have enough infrastructure even to fight Dominion. Because I've got a lot of Dominion coming out just because I have a lot of temples. And we're not doing it to like mess with him. We're just doing it to have we're forting up our land, putting labs and temples in places. But yeah, he just is not of the critical size, I think, to survive into the late game, and he knows it. Anyway, but this is hilarious just because there's a pile of stuff out. He should ping it. All he has to ping. I don't think there's commanders here. I think if he pings it, it just goes away. Anyhow. That's kind of funny. So that's the happening here. Basically, all the stuff's done. These guys are about to start fighting. I don't think they've started yet. But the real happening is over here. And we have an army on top of this fort. And Abyssia has a huge force here. And I'm thinking it's going to go hit Marverni. And I think he actually, next turn, is going to come over and attack me. Let me just see if I have 78. I might not. Oh, no, I don't. He does come attack me, though. instead of finishing off Marverni, which I was like, God damn it. It made sense. I mean, he wiped that army out. This was not an army prepared to fight an Abyssia Doomstack. Did I hit this? Was this me? Maybe I don't remember sending horrors at it. Okay, if I did send... I actually don't remember all the preceding stuff leading up. I don't think I initiated any conflict on Abyssia. I'm pretty sure maybe I had an army here in a couple turns before he attacked me. I'm almost positive he started this with me. Wait, was this it? I don't even remember, to be honest, the details. I'm just sure he started it. But it's possible I'm not completely remembering all the details right. What does it say here? 79. Oh, I have this labeled wrong. This is 79. Yeah, so this was the fort I had an army on. I was like, wait, what happened? His army was here. He knocked me off the fort. This was a Marverni fort. Yeah, okay, this was not turn 77. This was... Yeah. So... Wait, I might have it then. If this is 79, what happens if I go to... This one is 76... What I have stored in the 76 folder is actually 77. So I think this was... Yeah, okay. We missed the battle. But I have one turn I can show you a cool battle with Abyssia. We end up killing this. I kill this whole army. And the next... I kill a lot of it with... I forget what I'm hitting it with. I'm hitting it with various remotes every turn. I end up sending a super combatant in that routes it. And I do a few other things to it. But... we're still building up here a lot of vampires. They're not really... We've got, a lab. They're coming out. We're getting... I think when you add it up, like... let's see. Curse of Vampirism. I don't know how many times we're casting it. We must be casting it like at least 10 times. Or at least 8. There's 8 vampires here. So I guess we're casting it 8 times here. We've got like disease demon thug armies running around all over the place. And yeah, so that's the situation starting to unfold. And what we're doing as we're attacking is within reasonably short order, we're doing a lot of Sin Lesser Horror. So, like, and we're taking all of Marverni's stuff right now with horrors. And we're taking however much we take. We'll send different numbers of horrors depending on what we're hitting. And then we're attacking a bunch of stuff. We'll just do it from the map. I think at this point we've already killed this Abyssia army. And we're going in to finish off Marverni in his capital. We end up having some kind of interesting battles here with Marverni. I mean, I'm like way, way far ahead of him in technology, so there's not really much he can do. I think he might throw off 1 or 2 of these vampire armies, though. I don't even really care about them. Also of note is there's a bug in the game where I had made a huge pile of these soul contracts, the idea of getting a ton of devils, and they don't work. None of them, you can see there's no devils here except like 3. And what happens is I had done a spell called, here you can see, okay, Burning Forest, right? And it causes a forest fire ritual and it gives you gems. Anyway, once this disappears, it doesn't remove the unit order for Enter Sight, which you can do here to get a fire elemental. And if you don't turn that off, it will basically cause your turn to crash without crashing the whole game. That it just stops the loop of your turn. And so a bunch of stuff in your turn never actually procs, basically. And one of those things was the demons. And we didn't figure this out until after the game, but I had probably like 500 or 600 like devils that I would have had this game that I never had. And that may have been enough to change the game in my favor if that bug didn't go. Because that was like a major and significant bug. Anyway, we come over here, we might be able to see this battle. 83. Let's see if we've got 84 here. Let's see. And it makes complete sense, by the way, for... Okay, we send, there's a Horror Harmonica Golem we send in. And that does pretty good against pigs. So there's a bunch of horrors back here. Yoinking various things. He's got some pretty interesting little DE giant thugs. These guys could grab and swallow too. Yeah, they do. Anyway, soften it up, and then we have the main battle where they get completely trounced. Oh, it's just mostly the thugs. And that's how that goes. So that was over pretty quick. We lost one devil, one disease demon. This is like his little thug army. Killing a lot of the chaff, actually, with the horrors going in before, and I think we routed it or killed some of the commanders that were leading it. None of that showed up in the main battle, which was nice. It means my guy's all focused, his thugs down. So that was that. Abyssia is like building up stuff over here. It's about this time I find out that who I had been peaceful and cooperative and was generally happy with, and the idea I was thinking was we would probably just split this planet and then work together. He is funneling hundreds of gems to Abyssia to fight me. And so this pisses me off and basically makes me decide that we're going to not share this planet with We're going to try to kill on this planet and get them off of here. And so that gets my mind fixed pretty much on that. And meanwhile, Marverni is almost done. It would be smart of Bandar to... We're also, part of the reason I'm skipping through this, guys, is the late game of this sucked. Not only did turns take forever to do, and there was a ton of lag to do it, so, like, it was painful. But a lot of these nations, which aren't big enough, they don't even really have a shot. So it's like, how much time do you really want to put in? It's a sad kind of reality here. And I mean, of course, I would, if I were one of those small nations, I would just try to keep improving my position. Because that's just kind of how I roll. But often, or I would, if my position was so desperate, I would just declare war on all my neighbors and end it. Like, do a Harry Carry. But, yeah. Anyway, Abyssia fighting me makes a ton of sense here. The thing that pissed me off a little bit was, getting help helping them, because I had been friendly with her and I didn't know he was going to be like funneling hundreds of gems to fight for Abyssia to fight me. But it made sense for Abyssia to fight me because though the way I was seeing it was I would probably take this and then Abyssia I was never planning on attacking Abyssia. I was thinking like would probably attack Abyssia. So in some ways, rather than like fighting this guy, is paying him to fight me, which is kind of silly. But anyway, it bothered me. So Abyssia has been attacking me. They've got another big army built up, and honestly, we're gonna show that to you. Sadly, that's like the last cool thing that happens this whole game. And we've got a big fight. I think on turn 87. I just kind of scanned this game to see. And let's go over here. Was this it? Oh, this way. So we first soften this up with Wind of Death, which Abyssia does not like having cast on them. Hey, why is it not going? It's like being super slow. Oh, my game's like freezing up. It's like crashing my computer. It hasn't even done Wind of Death yet. I wonder if it's all the heat arts. There's only one Wind of Death we got off. That was a lot of damage. So we soften it up with that. I think that was in the magic phase. Did we hit it in the normal phase too? No. So anyway, we softened it up. We've got various small raiding things happening too while we finish off these guys. And we're already thinking about going on Bandar Log, because the way this game really is, especially on a map this big, and that's the whole reason I came to this planet, is you have to eat quickly. And so that's the idea, is just eat quickly. Now, one thing I was not thinking about was thrones, really. I kind of try not to think about thrones too much until the end. And we're getting kind of towards the end. But I was thinking this game would probably go to like 120. And I'm like, what I know is I just want to take over all of this, but I didn't even like calculate how many thrones are on which planets or all of this other jazz, which probably was probably a mistake. But I also there's like a limit as to how much I was willing to think about the game. So anyway, and had like 1 million of these temp gem generators, which, by the way, I had started getting. I was way late to the party, but I started getting them, and you can see I have a lot. Each of these trees makes 3 gems a turn, which is dumb and I hate, and it kind of ruined this game, having this in here. This is not part of DE. This is part of the Bozmos. It was a very poor addition, in my opinion. But anyhow, yeah, we're spamming that out. I think we have a wish farm going, too, where we're getting gems. I found an alteration site at some point. So we get a wish farm up. And we're aiming... we've been spending all of our nature getting trees, but we're going to be converting these gems through wish, I think, into nature, and we're going to be stockpiling up nature to get a lot. Like a lot. We're going to try to control Gift of Nature's Bounty, and that's how we're going to try to win. Yeah, and so anyway, that's that. Let's see if we can find... Let's go to 80. Oh, wait, 87, 88. I want to see if I can find an Abyssia battle for you. Okay, here we go. We finally attack. Oh, I guess we sent multiple things here. We sent horrors and some other stuff. I don't even know how that ended up working. I guess he didn't have any PD. We ended up hitting ourselves. Whoops. And then we sent the big force in. We've 1 turn popped the fort. So, okay, next turn we're going to have the battle. 89. I want you guys to get at least a couple cool battles out of the end of this game. But it's also one of the things like these. If you're playing in a big game too, you have to be really aggressive and get big. Because do we ping it? Oh no, they ride out. That was a turn 1 master and slave. Let's see. This was one of the things too. Like if you didn't have turn 1 master and slave, you weren't a player. And you can see we had a big bad boy doing it. This guy, Private Miller. And these were all Pineapple Express characters. And I think we have another one coming in. By the way, vampires do not love... we didn't get Army of Gold. I think I tried casting Army of Gold, but it didn't work. I don't know why. But vampires have a fire weakness. They kind of get wrecked by Abyssia. I guess we got fire resistance on them. Oh no, some of them got it. It looks like they didn't have it. Oh no, I've got Army of Gold on them. Okay, so they're fine. And yeah, Mr. Wiggles showed up too. So he was doing cool shit. And we took it. I don't think I stormed because I knew there would probably be a big battle. Or did I try to storm? No. I think I knew there'd be a big battle, so I didn't really want to risk it. Anyway, we stormed this turn. And then after this, we basically conquer these guys. And in very short order, we're about to attack Bandarlog. Hey, they're not doing much. They're just building troops. And that's why I'm like skipping through all this. Because it's actually... Abyssia, props to you, man. You had some pretty cool battles. But yeah, this is kind of like the highlight of the rest of the game, sadly. Bandarlog, he's not really even scripting stuff, and we just eat him. Well, let's go forward to like turn 90-something. 94. This is going to be very far in the future now. And you'll see the game is evolving. And you can see we're also saving a bajillion... Like, look, we've got 1,000 gems and only a few turns. And what we're doing is we're empowering one of our dudes to do a huge Gift of Nature's Bounty cast. I think it... Where did I put it? He's here, probably. Because I think I have an enchantment discount site here. Yeah, Saul Silver we're empowering. He's Nature 6 without any other boosters. We've already empowered him at least once. And every turn we're empowering. Our goal is that once we get full gear on him, we can get him up to Nature 18. You guys see where this is going, don't you? You see where this is going. And yeah, we're just conquering people. We've been attacking the monkeys. We've already got most of their land. We've got vampire raiding parties running around, doing vampire raiding things. Middle Atlantis, I can't remember why they had a golem here. I think this is like completely... I wonder if it got sent to the void or something and came back in a random spot. I have no idea. Anyway, it doesn't last very long. Not a golem and a cursed idol. And these vampires are great. You know, if they die, they just repopulate right over here and we send them back out. And yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, and we just keep attacking all this stuff. Abyssia, you can see we've taken all of Abyssia. And Uruk has been just plopping temples everywhere. And I don't know if he's done it yet. Yeah, he's put up Enchanted Forest. And so he's trying to blast out Dominion. And how Enchanted Forest works is wherever there's a forest, it's going to act like an enemy temple. And it's going to start putting out Dominion pressure. And then once you get positive Dominion, you'll start getting attacked by like Ivy Kings and stuff. It's annoying. We have a tremendous amount of Dominion. So if you look at our Dominion score at this point, which by the way, like here you can see Yis, who's in position 1. We got up to tie with them in provinces. And we're trying to raise, because what Yis has been doing is they have been coming down here on Gelenor. So in some ways what we did as a coalition, it worked real well. Without having to fight Yis too much, we basically convinced him to leave Asaloon, which was the easy planet. And we made him go to Gelenor. And he's just been walloping the dog shit out of people on Gelenor. I mean, he's just been like 300-pounder arm wrestling people on Gelenor and stomping them. He attacked Uruk and has basically wrecked Uruk. I mean, not Uruk, Utgard, sorry. And Utgard was doing some pretty impressive stuff. He had me forge some items and stuff for him. But he tried to defend, but it's just like the juggernaut of Yis with all of his resources pouring in. Utgard was already involved in another war too. And there's some interesting kind of diplomacy with all of that. Like, I don't know why anybody would have been fighting Utgard while he was also trying to fight off Yis, because clearly Yis was going to like take over the whole planet. But they did, and Yis worked the diplomacy here pretty good. Anyway, Yis has basically beaten most of Utgard now and is going to proceed to eat most of the rest of Gelenor. But what I don't know, because I haven't really taken much time to think about, is that most of the thrones that he's going to need to win are on... Gelenor has a ton of thrones, so he's going to take over all of Gelenor, and he's already got like a bunch of thrones in the stars, which is the other location. The lands I'm going after have like a ton of gold, but not a lot of thrones. So I'm kind of planning on the game going later. Like at least 120, maybe like 130 would be good for me. And then I'll start worrying about the thrones. But right now I want to get all of Asaloon. He's kind of doing both. He's getting land, but he's also getting land on a planet that's much harder, but also has much more thrones. Back on my planet, we've started... I think Rotterdam has started staling on turns and stuff. Like he basically had given up. So I was like, all right, dude, well, I guess we'll just end our nap and take this. And so we've been taking his stuff, and he was like, fine. But yeah, he was a good ally. Sadly, he couldn't just get enough infrastructure up and couldn't win enough wars to be a major presence. The other thing that's happened is that Alkera has basically been winning very hard, but it's still grindy, but he's been decidedly winning against Bandarlog, or Kailasa. The problem for him, though, is that Enchanted Forest is up, and as you can see, Ur's provinces are over here. And Ur, at some point, is going to start sending his god statues, which are like a DE super ridiculously strong chassis. He's going to start sending his god statues over here. And like trying to like take over, like make a foothold here. And I just massacre everything Ur sends over here. Like in no way is Ur coming onto my planet. And so anyway, I'm we're eating Rotterland, I guess. And wherever I see an Ur flag on my planet, especially, I mean, Enchanted Forest is a kind of dick global to put up anyway. And we're getting attacked by it anyway. Anyhow, I forget, does it happen in the event phase? No. Yeah. Right, so we're getting attacked by it every turn. And it's kind of annoying. The way we're fighting it here, because there's a ton of forest, this is like Enchanted Forest heaven, is we're magic phasing forts in all over the place and putting temples in it, and then we have Inquisitor priests that will start recruiting there once we have a temple and a lab and start preaching the Dominion down. So that's what's happening over here. At the same time has started maybe... He's about to start coming on to Volanus, and his plan, there's a number of thrones on Volanus he's going to try to get. The problem with going on Volanus is Late Age Marignon's over here, and Late Age Marignon is probably one of the top position players. So this also is pretty hard. I don't know if Atlantis is like... Oh, see, he's gotten this throne here. Anyhow. And he's bamboozled some of the people on his planet to being friendly with them, and he's just going to take their thrones at the end, which is a little silly. But, oh yeah, have we been attacking him yet? No, not yet. We're going to be attacking him and taking all of this pretty soon, because what he did was he fed hundreds of gems to Abyssia to fight me, and then as soon as it was clear Abyssia was dead, he went and vultured all of Abyssia. So, that is a very not friendly thing to do. And if you're going to do that and have Enchanted Forest up and have a bunch of unforted temples near me, we're going to take all of it. And let's go to turn 100. Turn 100. Oh god, we still haven't even attacked yet. Is this really turn 100? Damn, I would have thought I would have made moves by now. Anyhow, you can see we've got this all forted up already. We've got temples in a lot of these, not most. And I think this is, turn 104 or something, we're going to go and attack. I think at some point, too, I maybe stop saving the turns. And here you can see we've kicked off. We had to kill a bunch of his god statues, which are really expensive. They're like hundreds of gems. And it looks like we have cast Gift of Nature's Bounty. Yeah, we have. And we cast it... let's go back and see if I can show you. Some of y'all might have already seen it. I bet you turn 100 we cast it. I don't think I had it up too long before the game ended. Oh, we cast it this turn, I think. Saul Silverman? We have it, right? We must. Oh no, we're casting it this turn. Oh, sweet, so I get to show you. It's like, where are all my gems? Saul Silver is Nature 7. Okay, so we only put 1,700 in it. And yeah, look at my Nature gem bank. Yoink! 1,700 in it. And that's going to shoot our income from 27,000 to next turn up to next turn it will be very high. Next turn it will be 75,000. So if we look at my income, yoink. And this is my plan for how I'm going to take a shot at trying to win the game. Is we've gotten a lot of territory. We pushed our Dominion in here. We have been eating the shit out of kicking him off this planet since he was an asshole with Abyssia. Apparently, I didn't know this. He was also helping... He was also trying to bait everybody on my planet to attack me. Like, gonna pay them gems and stuff to do it. Anyway. Yuck. Not really a great person to ally with. But anyway, we're taking all of his shit over here. We're taking multiple of his forts. And basically that's our plan. We're going to continue to kick him off of this planet. And it's about at this point, too, we probably should start thinking about thrones because it's getting a little close. And I probably could do like a whole episode just talking about thrones. I never really even went and broke it all down, to be honest. But Nick Knight's getting close to the thrones he's going to need to win. We've heard over here. But like people are disinterested in the game at this point a little bit, too. So it's like kind of painful. And there's not even like people really talking very much about like he's got this turn or he's close to win. It's just people are just kind of like doing their turn and like hitting submit. And so it's kind of like, ugh. Anyway. And then I tried to like figure out what was happening, and eventually, okay, oh, it is a throne threat. Okay, well, we've got to do something. And then it's like, okay, I guess we'll go on this. The last turn, Nick Knightsley had been saying, yeah, I don't have enough thrones to win. And then at the end, he was like, oh, it turns out I do have enough thrones. So if y'all don't take a throne this turn or the next turn, then I win. And I was like, okay, well, fuck. It is like the least fun ending to a game. And the last turn, I think this is the last turn here. Does it actually say he went? I can't remember if we actually got the message or if we just... Yeah, I don't think we actually got the message. Maybe we didn't let it roll the last time? I don't even know. But we magic phased a ton of shit on top of here. I was trying to do, like... I don't know. I didn't have quite enough stuff to siege it. I did a ton of magic phase, but a lot of my commanders died or something. I don't even know how that happened. So that we didn't have quite enough siege strength to pop it. And... also, I mean, he cast iron walls and stuff on it. Also, I was doing Stygian paths and stuff, and a lot of the stuff died in Stygian paths to get here. I mean, it was like super desperate of me to come over here. And so anyway, he just won from Thrones. And, but, oh wait, we can't see. Did I put up Eye of God again? Okay, we put up Eye of God, so I can show you guys graphs and show you how it played out. So yeah, you can see he came over here, he conquered all of Utgard. Pythium ended up having they were kind of not much of a player for a while, but they ended up being relevant. They ended up taking a fair amount of stuff, conquering a bunch of the planet. I don't really know much of what they did. I didn't really talk to them, I don't think, the whole game. They were playing on an alt. This was Sauron, I think. And, anyway. But yeah, Yes ended up winning. I don't think they did much to stop it, but I don't know. I guess Yes coming on their plane worked out for them. They ended up conquering everybody over here, so Pythium ended up doing pretty okay by the end of it. We had a ton of stuff, though. And if we look at well, let's go look at over here and see how he did. He was basically mostly sniping thrones, but Marignon was going to fight him for him. I don't think would have had an easy chance pulling off a throne victory here. He had a fair amount of stuff. He was also being very lazy with scripting. I don't think I fought a single good fight against him as I took all this land from him over here. Yes, also, by the way, had Blandos. He had all of this. Yes was in a really, really strong position, and had all of this. And was just keeping... He kept... I don't understand this at all. He's keeping Dom Danielle alive just so... Dom Danielle has a fire wish. So they were trading gems back and forth so that would send him, this guy, all of his fire, and this guy would send him pearls. And then I think he also had an alteration discount site. So between doing both of those, he had like a very efficient wish farm. But Dom Danielle didn't... I don't know why Dom Danielle would busy himself doing that when... Like, why would you help one of the best, like the biggest players in the game when you're not doing anything to win? I don't know. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Like, it's fine if he doesn't want to fight him. I can understand that. He would get eaten. But, like, why would you why would you do a trade where you're helping the guy that's, like, 3 times in front of you? Like, he should trade to do wish trades with, like, weak players. Like, he shouldn't trade with me. He shouldn't trade with Yis. He should trade with, like, you know, maybe Alkera, who would love to have done that with him. Or with Kaelasa. And they're not weak. Let's come down here and take a look at this situation down here. Because one of the things I was really surprised at is Olio, who's playing Alkera, did a great job. And you can see he was conquering he had taken most of the Kaelasa forts by this point. But he hadn't gotten a lot of the land. And I didn't really realize this until after the game and we were talking about it. And Enchanted Forest was taking a lot of the stuff. So much of this was And, like put a fort up here next to this throne so we could potentially gateway stuff in or what have you. And had a lot of stuff on our planet, which I didn't even realize. I had kicked him out wherever I saw him, but Olio wasn't really doing much of that. He wasn't nearly... was coming in and forting this stuff once it would get taken with Enchanted Forest. So I don't know how Olio accepted that. I don't know if he tried fighting and it didn't work. When I had talked to him about it, he had said that he had thugs and different parties killed by Ivy Kings, and he decided it was easier to just let it go and deal with it once Bandar was put down, which he was very close to having Bandar put down. And I was vulturing Bandar a little bit at the end, because at this point Bandar was dead. But I was a little surprised. I thought that just from having played against both of them, like I was killing and I was wondering, like, why? And I'd played against this guy before, Olio, and I knew he would win in a straight up fight. So I didn't. There's some things that I just don't really understand about. Like, maybe he was more resource strapped. I think there's some other things that I heard talking to him too after the game. He was saying he was preparing for like me to go after his thrones. Like, he didn't. You can see it a bunch of stuff over here. He had like tons of innate casters, which cost a ton of gems. For him to like, have a bunch of really, really strong mages to protect all of his thrones, thinking I would go on him. I never thought about that. So far as I was concerned, I was going to stay at peace with him for the rest of the game. But he was like apparently super paranoid I was going to attack him. I had never had any plans of doing that. I mean, if he attacked me, I would have defended myself. But no, I was super happy to just be friends with him all game. Why I mentioned that, though, is I think a consequence of that was he didn't have enough gems for other things. Like putting forts up, magic phase forts maybe, which I think he would have needed to do and get temples in those forts to control Enchanted Forest. And so he let get a decent-sized foothold. I think once Bandar fell, he would have kicked out, and I certainly would have helped him. I was not interested at all in having on our planet. So, yeah. And you can see we had a bajillion gems again. I had that caster. I probably could have taken down Enchanted Forest at this point, too, if I wanted. And me holding it, especially as a friendly neighbor to Olio, I don't know if it would be better or worse. I wouldn't ever fort stuff over in his land. I would be friendly and just let him retake it from me. But on the other hand, it would give... I have way more dom pressure than I would say, in general. Let's take a look at Dominion. I have Eyes of God up. Yeah. So even with Enchanted Forest up, is like way down here, right, compared to me. Yes and I are like way up here. So I think... and if we'll take a look at the graphs, but if you look at Alcara, they're somewhere over here. They were, I think, in 7th place by the end. If they had the land that they would have had from Enchanted Forest, that took away, I think they would have been up here. I think it's probably about at least 20 or 30 provinces. I think that would put them here, which would have been that would be like top 4, right? They would have been the 4th most powerful player. But Enchanted Forest kind of messed with them a bit. So, yeah, anyway. This was kind of interesting. I'm, of course, focusing on it because I'm partial, because this is my planet, and these guys were like my allies and stuff. And yeah, Silent Seas, there's a bajillion things. I think we already talked about this. Yeah, Yisk controlled this island chain. He controlled Blandos, like we talked about. Over here, Marignon was doing a pretty good job and had mostly kicked off. Just had a small foothold over here, and he was working on this throne. I think he would have taken it by the end. And so I think Marignon ended the game in position, like in terms of provinces, he was positioned, like these guys are tied, essentially. He's tied for position 3. Oh, wait, I was looking at the wrong thing. Where's Alcara? Yeah, Alcara, okay, was a bit lower even. Maybe I was looking at income. What was I looking at? Okay, provinces, Alcara. Okay, yeah. They would have been up here, I think. So there was basically position 1 and 2. Was really position 3. He looks like he's mixed in here with Pythium and middle-aged Marignon, but he's not. He has a huge gem income because he has the enormous gem printing factory thanks to Bozmos. So he's actually position 3. These guys are really tied for position like 4 or 5. And then Alcara is in position like 6. So he's in 6th place in terms of size. I think he would have, if the Enchanted Forest stuff hadn't happened, he would have been right up here tied for, I think, position 4. Anyhow. But you can see by the end we were the biggest, but we were focused a bit too much on the end by like getting land and not enough going for the thrones. And so we were going after easy land rather than, I mean, we were fighting but he wasn't hardly doing any scripting, so it was easy. We were focused on easy land rather than going for hard thrones. And at the end, we realized the throne rush was happening and stopped and tried to stop it, and we couldn't. But, I mean, I don't know. We'll take a look at all the graphs, though. I'll show those to you. So, province graphs. It's me, and then Yis, and then... I don't know. A bunch of things over here. Pythium and and Marignon, and then this is Alcara. I don't know who this player is. I probably should be able to guess. That is probably... that can't be Dom Danielle, can it? Oh, it's Dom Danielle. How about that? Yeah. So anyway, that's our provinces. Forts, you can see we're way ahead. We were forting up like crazy, and that forts plus temples is what allowed us to have good dom pressure, and it also allowed us to not really worry about Enchanted Forest. Yis was here, Marignon, Pythium, and Alcara. And then income, Yis was ahead in income basically the whole game. At the end, when we got Gift of Nature's Bounty, we passed him, but honestly, we didn't even pass him by that much considering we had Gift of Nature's Bounty. God, Yis was super rich. Super freaking rich. Gym income, the whole score graph is a lie and doesn't matter very much. I mean, it matters some, but this is probably at this point, like 20, this represents maybe 20% of the total gym income on the map. And that's because there's so much gym generation happening. There's wish farms going. There's, if you had an alteration discount site, you were doing wish farms. And then there was all these gym generators like that tree I showed you. There's one for each gym type. It was horrible. Never do a large game with that again, guys. It is not fun. And we got into the game late, and we were big players in the fake gym trade, but we were way late getting into it, and had way more than we did. So, like, this shows us being the gym leader. We were not the gym leader. We had a lot, as you see, because we put up like a 1,700 Gifted Nature's Bounty. But anyway, research, everybody finished basically. Dominion, Yis was still number 1. I was number 2. Was 3, and that's even with Enchanted Forest. And then Marignon was 4. And then this is Alcara. They are in 5. And this is Pythium. Man, Pythium had some real struggles with Dominion. Oh my god. They're really low in there. And then this is Dom Danielle. And they were getting slowly dom killed by their good wish trading partner, Uruk. So that's interesting. This is Atlantis, and they were getting conquered here. Army size, number 1, baby. But anyway, I think that I misplayed at the end because I wasn't looking at thrones. I tend to not look at thrones very much until it kind of starts to matter a lot. And also, I was like barely able to... I was doing my turns, but it was like such a slog. I mean, I was giving, until the very end, I was giving orders to every commander. And there's thousands and thousands of commanders. And every time you clicked on somebody, there was like a lag before you could actually do anything with them. Since Illwinter actually patched this, so big games are going to be much easier to play, if that's your thing. Because you can now you can click, there used to be a huge command lag when you clicked on something, and that's all gone away now. So that's kind of cool. But it went away after the game. So it was still a slog. They fixed it during my relay game, which came after this. But it was still a super big slog to get through your turn. And anyway, I'd get through it and put orders in, but didn't do too much fancy scripting. If there's a really important battle, I would do it. But yeah, I should have been thinking harder about thrones, and I probably would have needed to have fought Yis earlier and tried to take a throne off of him. It would have been extremely painful fighting into Yis, though. And there's a fair number of defensive advantages in this. So, like, putting a force big enough to siege, I don't know. There's a lot of problems with trying... Because he would do turn 1 master and slave against me, I would do it against him. It would be a giant shit show. So, yeah, it's a lot easier to take thrones not owned by one of the major powers than to try to stop the game from ending by taking one off of them. So, I don't know. I mean, that was the other thing, too, I didn't mention about this, trying to stop this throne rush. Not only did Stiggy and Pass kill a ton of my stuff, but there were like 6 domes on this province. So what you can see here, the guys who made it, this is like maybe a tenth of all the stuff I sent. Because this province was just covered in domes. And of course, I hit it with like 1,000,000 flames from the sky the turn, too. Yeah, anyway. All this, that's, you know, it's why I wasn't trying to get into this throne game, because it was going to be super painful. Because there's not an easy way to take a throne off of Yes. There just isn't. And I didn't want to do it, but I probably needed to do it. So anyway, that was a misplay by me. But also, I didn't know it was a problem until it was too late, because nobody was really talking. And even with Eyes of God, it was, I don't know. It's misplay. Honestly, it was a mercy that the game ended when it did. The only thing I was upset about is that he kind of throne rushed it at the end. Like, he told us where we had 1 turn to react. I wish he would have told us like 3 or 4 turns or something, just so that we could have had some cool battles. Because like I've shown you guys, I started this whole thing for this episode at turn 20. And we are now at turn 108. I'm not turn 20, at turn 70. And we're now at turn 108. So the past 38 turns there's been some cool things like with Abyssia and Marignan, kind of. But I was like the United States or something. And they were like, I don't know, a small country in South America. And we're in like a huge military conflict. It wasn't a contest, really. Which, like, that's why I'm skipping through all of this. Because it's not, the late game was filled with a tremendous amount of micro, not a lot of interesting combat. It was just me overwhelming them with a superior economy. And I don't think that's terribly interesting, really. It was boring to kind of do. And yeah, it wouldn't make for good YouTube either. So the only thing I'm upset about is that he kind of throne rushed it. And I'm really wishing he didn't. But, you know, he's playing to win. So I can't fault him. It just was like kind of unsatisfying. But yeah, I mean, I think too, we did about as good as we could have, aside from the mistakes we made at the end. I mean, the Yis position starting here was just ridiculous. And then getting control of some of these moon bases as an underwater nation, and nobody could threaten them on Gelinor. And I mean, on Silent Seas. There's no reasonable way to do that. It would really be mission impossible. Like, cause think about it. If you got in here, it would be so hard to get 1 fort in here. We are on top of this throne here. This guy's Stygian Path in. It would be so hard to get... this is just desperate, right? But it would be so hard to get 1 fort here. And then imagine you have 1 fort and you're surrounded by this crazy shit. Like, how... Anyway. You know, we might have been able to do something. So there's no way to really contest this. And then the fact that he has this whole thing completely uncontested, spewing out his dominion, making troops, collecting gems, giving him tons of gold, and just pouring all of that venom into one place after the next, that was such a huge strategic advantage that nobody else really had anything close to that. Because I had neighbors that I was friendly with, but I didn't trust them enough. I mean, I trust them, but I mean, you can see we had a ton of mages and troops and chaff or whatever. Most of our good troops weren't over here on the border, but, you know, we had chaff and troops and mages getting spammed out in every single one of these forts near them. If there was a fight, we were going to be ready. And I could have, if I had the patience, I could have taken more of these troops and mages and moved them off-world. But, you know, it would have been at some detriment to my local defense, especially early. Like, if after the war, this war finished where I had most of the continent, but before Vanheim, if I was like, okay, well, let's take all these, because I was about to, it was significantly after, but, you know, Yes had certainly conquered Silent Seas by then. He was shooting his venom laser into other continents or other planets. If I had demilitarized and just flooded all my units out to go attack somebody, one of these guys would have attacked me, I think. I mean, I had to keep units at home, otherwise I think I would have been attacked. I couldn't completely demilitarize and funnel all of my resources off planet the same way Yiss could. So, I think he had like a major strategic advantage and used it. And unlike me, where I was going after like easy land and this balkanized planet that couldn't really defend itself, Yiss went after some of the harder players. He had like huge, interesting wars with Utgard, and then later, I don't know if how much he was skirmishing with Pythium, but I think he killed Atlantis. Yeah, he took all of Atlantis' stuff and had the whole water system on the planet by the end. So, yeah, I mean, I think like a millionfold he deserved the win. We tried. We could have done better about keeping our eye on the thrones. It's not the first time Nick Knight's throne rushed me, but nor will it probably be the last. Anyhow, it was kind of an interesting game. I think... Oh, yeah, let me do some closing thoughts here. Then we'll probably end this in the next 5 minutes, try to land here at the hour. Closing thoughts, I think the big game was kind of cool. The lag thing hurt, but that's been fixed now if somebody wants to do a new one. All of the additional gem generation stuff really kills the game. Because as you go into the late game, you already get like a tremendous amount of resources. Way more than is fun to manage. Like, think about it. All the gems you get, you have to decide what to summon. All the things you summon, you have to script. There's so much to do. And I mean, guys, we were getting hundreds of gems a turn in each category. Like, it was ridiculous, right? And this is the income you can see. Let me show you all of it. Here's my water gem factory, right? And you have to come through here and click these off every single turn on every single fucking unit. It was so painful, but this is what this is what it takes to win. This reminds me of like Dominions 3 stuff. Anyway, you can see we had an enormous gem economy going with these guys pouring out gems, and we had our trees going. Having this in the mod is such a horrible, horrendous idea. I think they've taken it out. Maybe I'm not sure in the latest version. I don't know if there's any gem generation left. They put it in because there's a few DE spells or whatever that give you passive gem income. I think there's one. We're not going to look for it. There's a fire water one that gives you a sight. Like, oh, there's it for some. We need to give it for all of them. I'm like the opposite. No, fuck no. If it's there for one, you need to go get rid of it. Don't do gem generation like that. Like, don't make it where you cast a spell and you get a sight that gives you gems. Oh, hell no. Please fucking no. So that, you get like these crazy economies, and then you get things like 1700 Gifts of Nature's Bounty, and it all helps the big players. Like it, because the big players can afford to be in war and to pour hundreds of gems into gem generators every turn. The other guys can't. So that was, first of all, I think like a not great thing about the game. I think the other thing is just a game this big. So you have to play really aggressive in it. Like, you have to eat and eat and eat and eat. And you can see we were going after, usually, not always, but oftentimes we were going after what we thought would be like easy or good war targets. And we avoided, like the plague, things that would have been very, very hard for us. Like a fight with Alkera, I'm convinced, would have been extremely painful. And we avoided it. A fight with Kaelasa would have also been very painful, I think. So we avoided the hard things, and we went and did the easy things. And the result of that is we were the biggest by the end of the game. That said, we still lost. And that, you can see, is a problem with my fucking strategy. And that there was a point, and I fucking missed it, where you would have to have turned into some really fucking hard shit that was going to be super painful. Like, I had to fucking deal with Yiss. I don't know when the right time to do it was, but it was going to be so painful. And the amount of scripting it would take would be so huge. Oh, I get anxiety thinking about it. And this is like months after the game is over. So yeah, I think it's like you have to know the right time to turn into things, and we certainly didn't turn into it at the right time. But I think that the thing is, in these big maps, you either have to get really big or die, or be irrelevant. And the process of becoming irrelevant, I think, kind of sucks. So you end up then getting this weird thing where, like, when we were eating Bandar Log, they weren't, like, really doing their turns even. Abyssia was fun. Marverni was, like, sort of doing their turns, I think. Not really. They weren't really playing their turns hard. They were, like, kind of doing some things. But I mean, it's worse than fighting the AI. And just in the sense that like it's not really a game. It's just like going through and doing this stuff. And like sure you're getting a bunch of land and income off of it, but it's not really very fun. These are problems with the big game format. And I can't really dock these guys. Like how much time do you really want to spend on a turn when you literally have a 0% chance to win? And smaller games, even if you're small, you can make a few plays and catch up. Quite frankly, if you, by turn 90, if you didn't have all these fucking trees that I have here, can I not click on this? God, the game's freezing up. I have probably 100 trees. You saw how many I can't say it. Anemones that we had making water gems. We had a lot. If you don't have that, you can't, it's not like you're going to, and I mean, even without it, the number of things you would have to do perfectly as a small player to catch back up, it's like impossible, right? Like it truly is a 0% chance to win. So then it's like, you know, in like a 12-player game, you can make some good moves and then come back and win, even from like very, very desperate positions. It may be hard, the odds may be low, but it's not a 0%. In a big game, it truly is 0% for a lot of nations. And then it's like they don't play, and then the optimal move is for the big people to the small people. It's boring. It's boring. That said, it was an interesting game, and I am glad that I joined it. There were some interesting things that you got to see play out here that you wouldn't really get to see play out in another game. You got to basically see what started from like city-states. Basically, huge nations were formed, and big systems of alliances existed. One thing that was also kind of interesting is you could trade for anything, because if you didn't, you know, if somebody wouldn't trade it to you, somebody else would. So there really was a market, a true open market in this game, much more than it exists in like smaller games. So that was really interesting. But I think, yeah, the mixture of seeing kind of nation states form and then the diplomacy that all happened, that was probably the most interesting part of it. The other thing that was just fun is, especially when the game started with 70 players, there was so much energy and like so much smack talk in the game channel and stuff. It was really fun. It was really fun, especially as the game was starting. Because, you know, when the game started, everybody was having fun. There were small, little interesting battles. Everybody was a contender. You know, there were a bunch of crazy strats. There was a bunch of fear-mongering. It was interesting. By the end, it was just a slog. People were doing their turn. Some people were doing their turns, some weren't. Yeah. I don't think I'm going to do another big game myself. I think I've tested it. I'm glad I did it. If you've never done it, it might be a good thing for you to consider joining. But know what you're getting into. For me, I'm glad I did it. It was fun, but I don't think I'm going to do it again. Yeah. Anyhow, I think that's the series. Let me make sure we went through all the graphs. I don't want to leave you guys hanging. Army size ascension points. Yeah, you can see Yes went crazy here at the end. Yeah, I think that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the series. Sorry to speed through it at the end, but trust me, I saved you from misery. I saved both of us. It would have been painful to record. That wouldn't have been anything to talk about. Not much. But yeah, anyway. Take care, guys.